Hi, Kim Rayner here from All About Spirits Life After Cancer, and I want to welcome you to episode 44 of Life After Cancer. And today's episode is called Accept It, Change It, Leave It, or Suffer. And I chose this topic because, welcome to life. If you are alive today, hey Mike, welcome, I'm glad you're here this morning. If you are hanging around in life, at some point you are going to experience life on life's terms. And that means that, you're going to lose a job, somebody's going to get sick, a relationship's going to end, people die. And if you're here today, you're most likely here because you are dealing with life on life's terms as cancer in one way or another, either your personal journey with cancer or somebody that you know and care about is experiencing life on life's terms with cancer. And, there's 4 ways to really navigate life. And it is the 4 things that I mentioned in the title, right? We can accept it, we can change it, we can leave it, or we can suffer. So I thought that a way to start this process today is to really start by talking about what do I mean by each of those 4 things. So I went to Merriam-Webster because that's a great place to go for definitions, and you can look them up in Merriam-Webster online. Hi Sue, glad you're here this morning. Hi Cindy, glad you're here this morning too. So the first thing I thought I would do would actually be to define what I mean by each of those words. So when we talk about acceptance, and I'm going to use my notes here for this, Merriam-Webster says to give admittance or approval to. And I'll talk a little bit more about what those 2 things mean. There's changing means a radically different, or a transformation, to transform. Leaving means to go away from or to terminate association with. And to suffer means to submit to or be forced to endure. And, all 4 of those items are natural reactions to life. They are natural reactions to circumstances that occur whether we like them or not. And the thing that today's episode is really about is we have a choice in which of those 4 attributes or methods we choose to walk through the process with. So the first thing that I want to mention is that we can consciously decide how we want to navigate through our process. And it's in the conscious decision that's going to change the trajectory of your life. That's the thing that's going to either make you okay and thrive through the process or literally trudge through the process. So I'm going to talk first about accepting and the different, accepting and admitting. And to admit is, to admit it, what's happening for me is I acknowledge that this is what's going on in my life. I acknowledge that this is what's happening to me today. I acknowledge that I'm here and I either don't like this or I'm here and I do like this, whatever the thing is. So admitting that this is the circumstances of my life. That's one part of accepting. The other part, and this is where I had a tendency to get wrapped around the axle, is to say it's the part about approving it. The acceptance where accepting it means that I approve of what's happening, that I somehow condone it, or I somehow agree with it and say, yeah, this is fine with me, it's okay. And that's not actually the truth. So really identifying what part of acceptance am I playing in? What part of acceptance am I dealing with? And if, let's see, so when we talk about the difference between admittance and approval, right? It's this is what's happening. This is what's going on right here, right now. This is what's happening. And until I can find a way to literally accept what's happening in my life, what's going on for me, I really can't be happy. I can't pretend that I don't have cancer. I can't pretend that I'm not sick. I can't pretend that stuff is going on because it's a lie. And I can't live my life based on that kind of lie. So I also can't wish that things are going to be different. So when I get to the space that I can literally and honestly accept what's happening, I can acknowledge what's going on, I can be honest about what's going on. Oh, there's a butterfly following me, or actually flying in front of me. Okay, that was a butterfly. Until I can accept what's really happening in my life and I can accept it, I can't start to change things. I can't start to actually have any impact on my life. So that's really the very first thing. So the process of acceptance, the process of accepting it, is what allows me to have choice in where I go and how I navigate from here. So the next part of this process is talking about change. And I really need to know what is it that I can change in my life? What is it that I can't change in my life? And how do I decide what the difference is? Where do I put my attention? Where do I put my energy? So when I start looking at the things that I can change, right? I can't change other people. I can't necessarily change situations. I can't change things. The only thing that I can change is myself. And there's lots of changing that I can do within myself. I can change my attitude. I can change my perspective. I can change what I talk about. I can change who I talk to. I can change what I think. I can change what I feel. I can change how I spend my money. I can change how I spend my time. So there's lots of things that I have influence over, that I can impact, that I can change. So identifying that and deciding, okay, what am I going to do with this? How am I going to spend my time and my energy and my money? What am I going to do with that? And when I was walking through my process, the biggest piece that I started leaning on is what I'm doing making me feel better, or is what I'm doing making me feel worse? And in that moment, I had the ability to decide, am I going to continue doing this, or am I going to change it? And that was really powerful for me. There was a whole lot of influence that came out of just recognizing, oh, I'm really not trapped here, because my misery a lot of times came from feeling like I was trapped, like I didn't have any choice over what was going on. So the next thing of the 4 things that we're talking about today is the idea of leaving. And that conversation might be a little hard because there's a lot of different ways that we can leave, right? We can leave emotionally, we can leave physically, we can leave spiritually, we can leave mentally. So there's a lot of ways that we can disengage. So when I'm thinking about, do I want to stay or do I want to leave, right? We might be talking about changing medical teams. We might be talking about leaving a job. We might be talking about actually leaving the planet, and that can be really hard. But we have a choice on what we participate in, what we decide that we want to continue on with, what we want to continue doing. So recognizing that we have the ability to stay or go, we have that option. If we decide that we're done talking to people who make me feel crummy, I'm done talking to people who drag me down, I can disengage from those relationships. I don't have to do it snottily, but I can say, this isn't working for me anymore. I'm gonna step down. I'm gonna step back from this. So that was really helpful for me to know. So the last one of the 4 in the title is suffering. And that one is probably the hardest of the 4 to talk about, because there's this way that the truth is, there were some times that I wanted to suffer. There were some times that I wanted to feel miserable. There were times that I wanted to be in that pain. And, suffering, again, is to submit to or to be endured, right? And the reasons that I wanted to suffer are not very pretty. They're not very attractive. The truth is, I wanted to suffer sometimes because I liked the attention that I got from it. I wanted somebody to feel sorry for me. I wanted somebody else to take responsibility for my life, to do things that, maybe I could or couldn't do myself, but I wanted somebody else to do them. And those aren't very attractive things. This butterfly is just hanging around. I'm wondering if it's one of mine. Anyways, actually, I'm going to flip the camera around so you guys can see it. Hopefully you'll be able to see it, because it's just hanging around here. And I'll come back to the rest of the tail here. but there you go. He is right there on that little branch. You see him flapping his wings? Can't help but wonder if he's one of mine. I've let a whole bunch go this year, and he might very well be. All right, I'm coming back to me. Okay, here we are, back again. So the whole idea of suffering is, it's not very attractive to say. There's a part of me that likes to suffer. And I'm really grateful that the part of me that did suffer and that wanted to suffer and that felt like I wanted to endure that, I'm really grateful that that was short-lived for me, because this process has been, it's been really amazing, and it's given me some input and some decision making in my life, and it's been really helpful. So being able to identify, what does accepting this mean to me? What is it? Am I admitting that this is what's going on, or am I somehow twisted up in the idea that I approve of what's going on? That's one part of the acceptance, right? The next part is, once I've accepted it, I admit that this is what's happening, and now I get to decide, am I going to radically change things? Am I going to transform myself in the process? Am I going to continue on as status quo? I have the ability to make that kind of decision. I get to decide what I'm going to stay in and what I'm going to leave. I get to decide, right? Am I going to go away from this, or am I going to stay associated with it? And then I get to decide, do I want to suffer through this? Am I going to submit to this and endure it? Am I going to trudge through it like it's some awful thing? And is it making me feel better, or is it making me feel worse? So knowing that I have the power of choice, knowing that I have influence, that has been the most powerful thing in my whole cancer journey, is knowing that everything that goes on in my heart, I believe that it is part of the plan. It is, my job is to navigate through whatever it is that God puts in my life, or Spirit puts in my life, whatever you want to call it. So, I'm grateful today for the opportunity to look at my life and say, what is the truth about this? How do I navigate this? And it's not necessarily an easy process. So my invitation to you this week, as is my invitation every week, to take some of the information, some part of your life, whether you are personally struggling with cancer or some other kind of life-changing event, to really take what you've heard here and say, how does this apply to my life? What do I need to accept? What do I need to change? Do I need to leave, or am I going to continue as it is, status quo, and suffer? So I hope that you found something in today's show that was helpful for you. If you did, I hope that you will like it and share it on Facebook. It makes it easier for other people to find the information. And also, I have been mentioning lately that I have started a new project called 1000 Cancer Survivor Stories, and it is to give people a safe place to share their voice, to say what their experience of cancer has been like if they find it necessary to share that information. We know that when we share our stories, it helps us heal, and it also helps other people connect. So I would invite you, if you are a cancer survivor, or you know someone who is, or who has walked through the cancer journey with someone, I would invite you to have them share their story, and it can become part of the Cancer Survivor blogs or part of the book that I'm writing. So I'm very grateful to you for being here today. It's good to see all three of you here. And until we actually have a chance to talk next time, I hope that life treats you well. Thanks for being here, and make it a great week.